Hi, all. Well, before I explain this outfit, which probably does not need much of an explanation, my name is Jessica Radloff. I am the West Coast editor at Glamour, and I so appreciate you all coming out today because our office is actually 2 blocks down the street, and we were told don't come into the office today because of the demonstration that's happening. But I was like, I have to moderate this show. I love it so much. So I know it was maybe a little bit extra time to get here, so thank you for being here. Really quick to explain this. I am from St. Louis, and of course, the show is set in St. Louis. And I'm a huge St. Louis Cardinals and St. Louis Blues fan. And the Cardinals are in first place right now, and the Blues, after being in last place at the very start of the season, made the playoffs and then go on to the second round tomorrow night. So I tweeted, and I said, I tagged the Blues and the Cardinals, and I'm like, God, I'm moderating this panel for Superstore, which is set in St. Louis. I should totally wear my Cardinals and Blues shirt, right? And they're like, the Blues wrote back, and they're like, yes, you have to. And then a bunch of other actors that are from St. Louis as well, they were writing, they're like, oh my God, yes. Then I remembered that NBC sent me this personalized Superstore vest a few years ago, and I was like, when else am I going to wear this? I mean, unless I show up at Ralph's or something like this, but I was like, this is the perfect outfit for today. It's also the most comfortable ever. I think these are the luckiest actors that they get to show up wearing this. Amazing. You should all guest star on the show so you can just, you know, dress regularly. But anyway, that explains the outfit. But thank you all for being here. I'm so excited. As I said, I love this show. It is in its 4th season, and it just was renewed for a 5th season. So I cannot wait. I was reading all these things, all these wonderful things said about the show, and I think Vox actually summed it up perfectly. They said it's one of TV's most sneakily thoughtful comedies. And that's so true. It's so smart, and it's funny, and it's heartfelt, and I'm just so glad that we have it in our lives. So without further ado, let me introduce the cast, because I know they're so excited to be with you today. First up, she is hilarious as Cheyenne. Please welcome Nichole Bloom. I know, it's a little confusing. Sorry, I know, they gave me an order. Okay, next up, she plays the fantastic Dina. Please welcome Lauren Ash. This guy kills me as Glenn every week. Please welcome Mark McKinney. This next guy, my dad still loves him as Fred from Drop Dead Diva. I just love him as a human being. Please welcome Ben Feldman. And finally, I love this girl with all my heart. She is a producer on the show. She plays the fantastic Amy, and it was just her birthday, so give her a warm welcome. Please welcome America Ferrera. Woo! So what do you think of my get-up? Did I do okay today?
You did great.
Has anyone worn one of these for a panel
I didn't
before?
see the Cardinals thing happening there too.
And the Blues.
Wow.
It's like a multi, I don't discriminate against my sports teams.
And would you have worn that anyway today?
I don't know. I don't know if I would have worn it. But then when the Blues tweeted me and they were like, you have to, I was like, yes, I'm supporting St. Louis.
I just feel like maybe we should have bedazzled that vest.
Yeah.
Seeing it now.
Wait, I was thinking, because you guys, I forget the name of the character.
Kelly.
Yeah, you
Kelly, wow, you know a lot of, how did you?
First of all, I'm telling you, I love the show. And then I went back and watched all, 19 episodes over the weekend of season 4.
We bedazzled the cast chair of the actress who played Kelly on the show.
Who's
Not
from
something
St.
that people know.
Louis.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of St. Louis people. America's now officially scared of me.
I work with a voice coach in St. Louis to learn how to talk like St. Louis and say warsht and nat and cat and like all those to not sound Canadian, basically.
Oh my. You know what was so funny? I actually went to the set of Superstore a couple years ago, and I remember there was a whole aisle of maple syrup, and I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen that in St. Louis, like Walmart or Target, like a whole thing of Canadian like syrup, and I was like, "This is."
We have
very
certain
interesting.
deals, Mark and I.
You'll
that
notice
That's
30
right. You guys are from Canada.
We are, yeah. So it's in our contracts that there needs to be a certain amount of representation for the country. There's also
Green
Tim
cards are
Hortons
sponsored
places.
by the Maple Syrup Council.
That's correct.
That's right.
Yeah. Mhm.
I also have to say, if you ever get to the set, you guys have the best plastic bags that say Cloud9 on them. The publicist let me take some of those plastic bags because you can't get a plastic bag here as easily anymore, and sometimes you just need a plastic bag. So I do sometimes.
Today is wasn't Earth Day yesterday?
Yeah.
When we're doing this.
But I reuse them. That's the thing. All right.
have reusable
Yeah, we have
Cloud9
we
bags.
have the canvas
have
bags
that
as
too.
well.
I have that too. I use it at Ralph's. Okay.
Sometimes
enough
you just
about
like the
me.
feel of plastic in your hand.
I
you
know. Oh, thank you. My bra's coming down. I appreciate it. Let's keep it real here. Okay. So anyway, thank you for that.
Plastic bra.
I want to talk about this amazing ensemble because you guys make your jobs look so easy. You are flawless, and it's so hard to do that. So what is your prep like for each episode? Do you have a rehearsal even, or is this just like seamless? You just go right into a scene. Talk to me about your prep.
It's a lot of drinking, right?
Nichole?
Why is everyone looking at me?
That's yours.
Okay. Well, I personally, don't do a lot of prep.
Nichole does the most. You do like a
because-
whole.
No, I don't.
You do like sun salutations for like an hour.
Yeah, I do that in the trailer. No, no, we get the episode like the night beforehand, basically. Sometimes
You really?
with rewrites, if that. Sometimes it's like the day of, and we have new lines. So at that point, I'm like, I'm not gonna prep for this. I'll just.
She's right. I'm the same. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so well written. It makes it really easy for us because we know our characters, and then you just show up, and yeah.
Well, I will say we do mostly have a table read, like at least a week before. It's not that we have no idea.
But
what's
nobody's
happening.
sober.
No one's sober.
All
The
of
words do change, and we do sometimes wake up to brand new words, but generally we know what's happening a week out.
Well, and the other thing too is a lot of us do improvise. So at this point, also like deep into season 4, we all know who each other is. We all know these characters very well. So quite often there'll be some horsing around. I just went on a horseback ride, so I got it on the brain.
Everything today is going to be horse themed from Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys not crack up in the middle? Like, do you break
America,
all
you
the
want to take that
time?
one?
What's your secret, America?
America, how do you do
How
it?
do you
How
not
do you stay so straight faced?
stop the scene for a minute of
I
tact?
don't not crack up. I just ruin every take. If it's funny, I laugh. That's how it works. What am I supposed to do? Not laugh? It's funny.
Well, yeah, that's part of acting.
My favorite. No, sometimes I forget that I'm in the scene and I just love watching them. It's just the love I have for you guys.
I think my favorite thing is to just try and find her eyes at any given moment. Because if I'm like really kind of like searching and she's like trying so hard not to look at me because she'll know she'll laugh. That's one of my favorite games.
Well, Lauren just doesn't stop until I crack up. Like it doesn't matter if they yell cut. She just keeps on going until.
It's true. It's true.
But the truth is most of the best takes. This show could be so much better if I didn't ruin all the best takes.
No.
Wait, do you guys have a blooper reel on the DVDs or something? Is there?
yeah.
There
I
is.
don't, do
There's
we
some on
even
YouTube.
have
Yeah,
DVDs anymore?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Do we do DVDs?
I don't
Is that
know.
a thing? People
We
I've
do.
seen blooper reels, but I
There are some DVDs available. Yeah. It's still a medium.
I mean,
I love,
My
what was
VHS
it?
player
It was
is
this
waiting.
episode, right? You guys held up Friends and Game of Thrones, and they weren't even the real covers for Friends because I was looking at that. I thought that was hysterical. Anyway, okay. Talk to me a little bit about what are some of the things that you've each picked up from watching, one of your castmates to either punch up a scene or make it funnier. Are there certain things that you've observed over the years that you're like, gosh, I love that trick. I'm going to try to do that. I mean, not that it's like you guys are magicians, but you kind of are. So is there anything that you've picked up from watching each other that you think made you stronger actors?
Well, I would say for myself, Mark is interesting to watch because your character is probably like the most broad or like big. It's like different than who you are. And I noticed that you're always very like cognizant of like levels, and you'll try a scene so many different ways. So I always find that interesting about Mark, because you're like different with every take, and you're so creative, obviously. So yeah, I think I think Mark is great to watch.
Thank
I mean,
you.
everybody, but yeah.
No, I agree. I come from like I'm not an improviser at all, and I'm terrified to do it. And I don't know that I've learned anything. But if I did, it would be from people like that. You can we'll figure it out later. People like them, I do feel like I am less scared to take risks, and I see it happen in other things. Like I do an animated show now, and old me would just sort of stick to exactly what's on the script and kind of, do it the same way every single time. And I think that I've learned a lot from people like Lauren and Mark, who are just like masterful improvers, to take risks, to not be afraid of looking stupid, which is a compliment, and they know it. And so yeah, I think that's something that I've taken away. To what success, I don't know, but
what did you learn from me, Ben? That's what they want to know. I'm kidding.
Thank you.
No,
I want to know. A second.
I want to know.
No, it's okay. No, I think personally, I feel like, look, I don't think, I don't know, maybe some actors steal tricks from each other, but I don't feel like that's a thing good actors do. I don't think you can really steal tricks from each other, but I do think that good actors make you a better actor, and I think all around this cast, as you said, is phenomenal. And just being around people who are so good at what they do just ups everybody's game. And I personally had never been in a straight comedy before Superstore. I'd mainly done dramas and then drama / comedies where some comedy was in there, but there was still the dramatic element. So a straight comedy was really new territory for me and out of my wheelhouse when we started Superstore. And it truly is like being around this phenomenally seasoned comedic troupe between Colton and Nico and Lauren and Mark, who have they've all done it for the stand-up and the sketch and every version of it you could think of, and just being around that now for 4 years, I'd like to think I know personally, I feel like has made me so much more comfortable in it, and I'd like to think has just made me a better performer all around.
What I've learned from Ben is that it's important to have an eating schedule.
Yeah.
He has a very regimented way that he eats.
Not way. I eat like a normal person.
You eat like a normal person, but the timing,
when
it's
and what.
very specific, and it's very nuanced.
Is this helpful,
and it's,
SAG?
But listen. That way, it's like you're not eating too much, you're not eating too little. You've got energy throughout
crash.
the day.
Yeah.
Also, caffeine intake stops after 2:30.
I will
3
not
p.m.
go to sleep if I'm having coffee after 3.
And that's just good advice.
Yeah. So if you take one thing away from this today.
But you are the
drink coffee
prettiest
after
of
3.
and us in the cast, so it must stand for something.
That's just.
Ben does have incredible
moisturizer.
instincts about food. Like once in a blue moon, you'll see him sort of like and go, "Someone's opening a new small plates restaurant in the valley. I sense it."
Nico too.
Getting Asian.
It's not fair that Nico's not here.
Wait, I want to know, how often do you eat throughout, like when you're taping on a regular day?
The most important time of the day is snack time.
That's actually for everybody in this. In fact,
That is
Lauren,
for everybody.
you could probably take over. Since this has now become about food. And
Yes, my favorite
nothing
thing.
else.
I mean, that's usually the 90% of our days when we're not working.
We'll
is-
turn to Lauren in the morning, any one of us, and say, "Hey, what time is snack? And can you tell us what exactly it is?"
10:30, and it's burrito bowls. I have a one-way line with one of our PAs who keeps me updated about what food's coming when. Because I like to, I have taken, all jokes aside, I have taken a page from Ben's book. Because when you start on a network show, you're like, I feel like I have to eat whenever they provide food, but you can't.
No, you can't.
You can't, because
You
you're
can't.
eating every hour. So, yeah.
I love that. When I was watching the show, binging it this last weekend again, I couldn't believe how many developments actually have happened over season 4 that you kind of forget when you're watching it once a week, but then all at once, Amy had a baby, and then, you know, you were the surrogate for Glenn, everything else. What development this season either shocked you the most or was most exciting to play?
I will, as a spoiler, say, not a spoiler, but a teaser, say the very last development probably shocked me the most. The last thing that happens this season.
Yeah. That's
pretty shocking.
It's pretty
and that's all I'm going to give you.
Wait, whose character does it happen to?
There's no way I'm answering
that.
I would say what I really liked, one episode I really liked this season I thought was really interesting was the Blizzard episode, because early on season 1 we had All Nighter where we all got locked in the store, and that episode had this kind of like fun, like everybody's like getting to know each other kind of, or like learning things about each other they didn't know. And then Blizzard, it could have gone the same way. It's like, oh, they're locked in the store again. But what happened now is that it's 4 years later and everybody is just over it. Everybody is over everybody else. And I thought it was so fun to get to play, because there's characters that exist now that didn't exist then, and how do they come into that kind of world and that kind of thing. So I thought that was like a really fun kind of nod to that earlier episode, is getting to play one that was like a much different tone.
I personally loved playing the maternity leave episode when Amy had to come back to work 48 hours after
Your
giving
freak
birth.
out was some of your best work I've ever seen.
It was so fun, and it was, I would hardly call it acting. I'd come back to work 10 weeks after I had my baby, so it was all just right there on the surface. I didn't have to push hard for it. And our writer of that episode and director of that episode, Jackie Clarke, who's one of our executive producers, you know, was pregnant twice, once while on our show, and we just had such a blast, like improving on set, but also throwing in all the things that, you know, that we so related to as like new mothers having to go back to the workplace. And probably one of my favorite moments, images, tableaus of the entire series was when Amy was pumping in the closet and Saeed was praying next to her, and like seeing like the new mother and the Muslim, you know, prayer, like it stuffed in the closet in corporate America. I just thought it was like the perfect metaphor, and also it was heartbreaking and funny and sad. And I just remember thinking, like, what other show are you going to see this on? Like a mom breast pumping in the closet. And also that scene where Glenn would not let Amy pump in his office was just hilarious and brutal, and one of those moments where you go like, God, I love Glenn, but he is problematic on so many levels. But that episode I thought was so rich and exciting to play this season.
Yeah, and that's where, like, I love the fact that you're taking these very topical issues and you're infusing them so much humor. But this is something that happens where people do have to go back to work after big things, and it's awful. And you guys are really shedding a light on that in ways that haven't really been done on television in a long time.
Yeah, well, it's a comedy, and I think our writers, they don't write anything that they don't think they can make funny, but, they think, okay, how do we make maternity leave, the lack of maternity leave funny? Let's make it so ridiculous and make her come back like literally hours after giving birth. And you think you're creating this ridiculous sitcom scenario, and then the response from so many viewers was like, yeah, that's what happened to me. Like, people were like, well, I was laughing until I was crying, and then I couldn't stop crying because it just reminded me of when I had to go back to work days after giving birth to my child. And, that is I think the win of, if you can make people laugh and be resonant with something that's happening for real in the world and in people's lives. It's that, to me, it's that Norman Lear style of comedy that I grew up loving and always aspiring to make and to be a part of the comedy that's making you laugh till you cry, and then you don't know whether you're crying or laughing. You're just sort of feeling. And I feel like we've had a lot of opportunities to hit that this season. It's been exciting.
Do you guys ever get a script and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe we're going there. I can't believe that line is in there?
To NBC's credit, I always assume the line will go away, and then it doesn't. It's really cool, the kind of things we've gotten away with doing on the show.
Yeah, and the stuff to come too that Ben alluded to before is
they could
shocking.
cut that stuff.
Do not. What's the day? We should make sure. Like, if you give me your numbers, I'll text you on the day to make sure you're tuned in.
When does our finale air? Do we know?
Mike?
May 16th.
Oh,
May 16th.
May 16th.
all right.
Don't just eat a light meal. Watch it with a friend. Call me after.
Okay, Mark, I want to talk to you. The lines that come out of Glenn's mouth. I mean, you walk such a delicate line with this character because he says such insane things, but you make them sound so innocent. I think I wrote down one of my favorite lines. I think it was in the first episode of season 4. You said, "We're living in a brave new time's up, me too, this is us world." And just talk to me about your process with Glenn and how do you create that balance to make him both lovable and also,
Insanely reactionary?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's out there, in some suburbs of the country. Like what I like about Glenn, the main thing I like about him is this, because he's obviously a Christian and Bible and all that sort of stuff, but he believes in the Godspell Christianity of all goodness and love and light and stuff like that. Except, of course, he's accepted in an unfiltered way a lot of problematic ideas that he just kind of spouts, and he's kind of lost. But to play a character with that kind of heart, who's wrong but also sweet, and who stands up for Cheyenne when she's he occasionally has moments where he clearly sees that he has to lay on the tracks for someone. It's surprisingly easy. I think it's a very human dilemma what he has. He's a little out of time. He's a little out of step. He's not fully informed. He's accepted a lot of received wisdom. At the same time, he saw something about people that he absolutely believes in. Like, that's his anchor. And but he can still be jealous. And I think in the last episode he's in the Easter Passion play, and the kid gives his line. He goes, "Oh my God, he's terrible." So.
What do they say to you when they meet you? I would imagine they have such a reaction.
Oh, I can't believe that's not your real voice.
Voice first. Actually, I don't get recognized a lot because without the voice and wearing my glasses I do normally, there's no cue for someone in line with me to go, "Oh, is that so-and-so?" And I smell. So...
You can hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happens for all of you guys when you're out and fans do recognize you? What do they say to you about your character or the show? Because you all have such distinct personalities on the show, and it's so fun to watch. So what do fans say when they meet you?
You looking at me?
I just feel like you always have fun stories about this.
Listen, I can be in sunglasses. I don't know whether it's my voice, but it's
your voice
everywhere. I recently had some people chase me around to Ralph's.
Were you running?
I wasn't running, but one person asked for a photo and I gave it, and then they ran away, and then they ran back with more people, and then they got photos, and I'm not looking my best. But then this woman turns to me and she says, "You are an actress from television, yes?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You're tall. Could you reach high up, Ida?" And I was like, "Stay humble, Ash. Stay humble." But listen, I'll say it's always a joy. People are really sweet. The only time that I have if I'm at a Target, people are like, because they think maybe I'm a little bit mean in real life. Maybe I'm a little bit like Dina. So the employees at Targets do kind of like, yeah.
I love that. Nichole, how about you?
Yeah, similar to Mark, I think I don't get recognized that often because my hair and my makeup on the show is so extreme. But yeah, once in a while I'll get, "Oh, I love Superstore," and it's always just positive. I haven't had anything too crazy happen.
Haven't had to get anything down from a shelf yet?
No, I haven't had to do that either.
Well, you're tall, so just wait.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I know you guys didn't get to see it in this particular episode. America, you were talking about how the maternity leave episode was one of your favorites. I love that one. I also love, though, it aired recently, the episode where Amy, she finally becomes the store manager, and you find out the salary that you are making.
That was the best. Oh my God.
Yes, and that
scene of you finding out where they had to bleep you.
Comedy with
it was awesome.
If you guys haven't seen this, you need to go on Hulu and watch this. It is brilliant.
Make you just happy to look at it. What's the last beat? It's like you find out the last thing. What are the perks? Would you like to hear about the perks?
Yeah. Like, can you walk
like to hear about
everything about that
I don't know if
scene?
it's because you're so cool in real life, but you really play like awkward and like caught off guard. Wow, like it's incredible. Don't
Ben,
do
I
the
love when you
roll your
attempt
eyes,
to give me a
backhanded
compliment.
blah,
You
blah, blah.
always fail
No,
at the compliments.
That's I'm.
What are you trying to say?
I'm
What's
still
the
in the middle of
essence?
the compliment. Let me get to the end. It's forgettable. No, I was saying you're really, really good at like awkward, like you do whenever you're like stumbling over something on the.
Oh my God, you're like Christian
I'm
Bale in The Big
awkward. I'm
Short. You're
super
just
awkward.
like, nice haircut. Did you do it yourself? What's that in your next line?
I give up. I give up.
This is why they need no rehearsal. You guys are just
You know what?
flawless.
I'll jump in for you, Ben.
Thanks,
And
Lauren.
I'll
I didn't think I needed to jump
I'll
in.
replace awkward. I'll replace awkward with joyful.
No, I'm saying she acts awkward.
Okay,
I'm not saying
tried.
she is awkward.
I tried.
Am I? Am I saying you as a problem? I actually began this compliment with, I think it's because you're so cool in real life. And everyone missed that.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
right.
What was
you
the
do
question?
your-
I
Were
think
you
she has to
fucking-
be, America has to be America, if you know what I mean. Now, bear with me. Okay. No, this is really good. This is some heady
you'll
stuff.
bear with him.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't bother bearing with me.
It's an incredible, she has to be the person who reacts to all us lunatics. And so, and if that isn't done properly, then it looks completely arbitrary and insane. So it's kind of where, like, I think you have the job of porting our lunacy into the show in scenes like that. And I just nailed a compliment that he couldn't get off the ground.
Completely lateral.
I don't.
Totally lateral. Don't clap. Don't clap.
Thank you.
I don't even know what the question is, but I'm gonna say something. I love when Amy gets to do crazy shit because of what Mark said. Like I am often the straight person, and I have to kind of just deadpan and say you're insane or okay, you're an idiot, whatever it is. And I love that part of Amy too, because it's not actually who I am in real life. I mean, like it's an element of who I am in real life, but I'm not as like dead inside as Amy is. I am at the moment because I'm recovering from a stomach virus, so I'm a little bit more dead inside right now. But what was I saying? No, I forgot.
No one knows.
Oh,
No
that
one
I
remembers.
love when Amy gets to do crazy stuff because I do have to play straight. So when I get to, I'm always so grateful when the writers, and that Easter episode that just aired was particularly crazy when I had to like walk over like I had pooped my pants and talk in a really low voice, remember? Yeah. And you were like, you sound like Scarlett Johansson. But yeah. But did
you have to walk like you pooped your pants?
That wasn't in the script.
choice.
Yeah.
No, I particularly love doing the crazy stuff. No, I did have to walk like I pooped my pants because part of it was like, oh, her strides are too long.
Oh, right.
But the salary, that was the same episode, the salary episode. Yes. No, that's a different episode. Doesn't matter. The point is, I love when Amy gets to do crazy shit. There. The end.
Wait, how many times did you rehearse that scene though? Because it's so brilliant.
You were
What
walking like
scene?
that for like a week.
The one where
Right?
you find out
Where
you're
I
gonna get
find out
paid.
my salary?
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't rehearse. We just shot. I mean, that's what's so fun about television is like we're rehearsing on tape. Like I just love that it's like we just get I came up in theater and my favorite part of theater was the rehearsal. Once the show went up, I was like so bored. I was like, I just wanted it to be over. Like the rehearsal and the discovery was so much fun, and television is just basically rehearsal all the time, and you just do it until you feel great about it, and then you get to move on and like discover a whole new scene. And every time I go home and think, oh shit, that's how that scene was supposed to get done, or oh, that was the beat I was looking for, or that's the thing I wish I could do. I get to come back and like do it the next day and find a way to like put it in the next scene. And yeah, the rehearsing and the discovery in the moment is the best part. I don't know. I've never been on a television show that ever did rehearsal. I don't
Neither.
know. Have you guys ever done that?
They don't have the money to do that. I mean, I know, like...
I don't think the schedule really allows for it.
Same day rehearsals, but yeah, that's what we do basically. Yeah.
But I had friends on like Veep who would go to like London for like a month and rehearse the season.
Whoa.
But that was like
way.
early Veep. That all changed. They're not doing any kind of
that's
rehearsal
awesome.
now.
See, I've
it was
never
incredible.
gotten to do something like that.
Sounds like
cool.
a drag.
Mark hates rehearsal
Why did they rehearse in London? What
because
is
that's
that
where the
re-
guys were from. They created such a...
Lauren,
Second half of this panel is about Veep.
Lauren, I love how confident and unapologetic Dina is. How has playing her inspired you as an actor and just in your daily life?
Certainly, I do feel like she is so, I would almost say delusionally confident, which is something that I try. I do feel like I try and be more like her in that way. Because we're Canadian. I mean, we're humble to a point because it's in our blood.
Sorry.
Yeah. I've already talked for too long. I'm so sorry. But I was saying to America recently. Actually, I was talking about how fabulous my butt is, and she kind of was laughing because she was like, "Oh wow, like you're like that's so confident of you." And I was like, you know what it is I made a decision based on Dina, actually, because Dina is so confident and thinks she's so hot and thinks that she could get with anybody. And the truth is that she could. That I was like, you know what? I think women especially, we spend a lot of time looking in the mirror and thinking about all the things that we would change or what we hate. Like I could list like 15 things, but instead of doing that, I've decided to reprogram my brain. And whenever thinking about something physical about myself, I just lead with something that I think is really, really hot. And it's starting to turn. It's starting to turn.
What's funny is you actually then did that again with me. We had the same conversation.
About my butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I don't think America was there, and I got the second version.
Well, and the point of that conversation was actually me saying to you, like, I have been so inspired by you.
Oh.
By like you, Lauren, as a person, but also like Dina and what you do in the role and all of it. Like how you choose to do that, to lead with confidence. It's so inspiring. Like just as your friend to get to be around you, I'm like, I want more of that. Like not just like, oh, I don't like hate myself anymore. It's like, no, I want to like I want to like find the thing that I love about myself and then have someone make a birthday cake of that part of my body. Like
that happened.
Which is what, can I tell them that's what you did? Which is what Lauren did. And I'm like, that's badass. And like, I think that's what's so awesome about you as a person, but so amazing about the role of Dina is like, you know, the easy thing and the thing we would expect is like, oh yeah, no, that character gets no sex and no one loves her and she's lonely and she doesn't look like a TV character actress, so there's no love in it for her. Meanwhile, like none of the women on this show look like TV actress women, and they're all women who are like capable of being loved and love themselves and get laid and like fight over, you know, men and whatever it is. And I have to say, you in particular, Lauren, you've been such an inspiration, just who you are, but also in that character. It shouldn't be, but it is revolutionary what you've chosen to do with that character.
Thank you.
A nice compliment.
See, that's how you give a compliment, Ben.
I said that.
Yeah.
No, but
I didn't hear revolutionary. I didn't hear you
Never got to finish my
inspired.
compliment.
No, but America, you bring up such a good point because again, in the first episode this season, where Amy is saying like everybody's thinking that you're embarrassed that you were caught having sex, and you're like, no, I like sex. Like these are the things that it's like, no, let's kind of change that stigma or that narrative that's there, and that's why it's so. But it's done so hilariously, and it's so brilliant how it's just so smart. So. It's true. You're welcome. No, it's so true. Nichole, you studied at the Groundlings in UCB, right?
Yeah.
How has that informed how you play Cheyenne?
How I play Cheyenne? I don't
Nichole,
know.
you're
I
amazing.
hate these questions when people are like, how do you play Cheyenne? I don't know. I feel like both those schools actually give really opposite advice. Like at UCB, they're like, oh, don't play a character. Like, just be yourself. And then at Groundlings, they're like, yeah, do a funny voice and come up with a weird walk and like all this stuff. So, and then, you know, I didn't like get to the top of the top at either program. So I don't know if I was really good at either particular school. And so I don't know how much I got away from that, but maybe like just with acting and like auditioning, you just learn to take chances because that's sometimes the only way that you can stand out. And Cheyenne was just like really fun how she was written, so I just kind of went with what was on the page. And yeah, I don't know, it really feels quite organic to me to play her, so it's not like a super like intentional thing that I'm like thinking in my head like, oh, I'm gonna do it like this, or yeah. So
Nichole is really good.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
I was going to add that if Nichole got something from improv, and I got to direct Nichole, but I mean this is more observation than the directing experience, but it's instant yes. She comes to play like a kid, like to play. That's what she does, and directing her was particularly fun to that because like I was nervous and I gave a suggestion and she just took it and ran, and it was really good.
Oh, thanks, Mark.
See,
I started the.
Thank you, Ben.
It's so.
By the way, I'm channeling Colton.
Not here.
Colton can't be here. I
So-
never rag band, but Colton can't be here.
Never.
And it's always
Mark's
a big part
Mark's
of our
never
family.
mean to anyone.
I'm never.
All of his
is-
first
this is
insults have
all
happened
like-
one after another.
Yeah, but he just had a latte and he's a little bit punchy.
What is
Yeah.
going on?
By the way, Ben, I loved, since we're talking about all these different episodes, the one where your parents come in and
they're so
you had
good.
to lie about, they think you're a third-year med student who's engaged to Natalie Portman. And it's just, like, was that as much fun to play as it was for us to watch?
Yeah,
Because-
I was looking forward to that a lot because Jonah came in, I think, with sort of the most, not mystery, but like you're kind of like, what is this guy doing here? And it's never really explained. He's just sort of like, you can tell that he comes from some sort of place of privilege, but then it's not really clear. You know that there's something went wrong somewhere in his life. But I didn't really get to learn much about, as an audience member, I guess, I don't know, learn much about Jonah, and so I was really excited for the parents to come in and to kind of explore more what happened to him and his whole school experience and his breakdown and his giving up or moving on or whatever it was. But yeah, that's a really interesting storyline to me because for Jonah, this is a group of people that he found that feel like it's like a chosen family. He went there to get away from something else and decided, like, this, I belong here. This is the only place that for some reason this weird group of people is somewhere I belong. But no, I don't know. What did I get from the parent episode? I don't know. Nothing. I don't really remember it.
I just want Natalie Portman to guest star one of these days.
It's also
to
so
walk
strange.
into
Like,
the store.
That's like
and-
America's buddy too.
I know, yeah. I saw that. She was wishing you happy birthday a few days ago. And I was thinking, like, she needs to guest star so that, then Jonah
she
comes
does.
face to face with his imaginary fiancé.
Could she guest star? Would that be?
I have not. I will
Have
not
you talked
bring
to her
it up
about
to
that?
her.
Could you
No,
text her?
it's not.
Will you just like text her and ask her?
If you
get
are
out,
in
give
the
me your
room,
phone.
Ben, I don't trust you.
Just give me your phone
No.
for like.
Does she know she was part of an episode?
I don't talk to her about it. I don't know if she knows.
If we can't get Natalie, I think I can get one of the kids in the hall.
They're
And they
available.
all look good in wigs. Everyone.
I love it. By the way, you guys have had such amazing costumes this season. I mean, I just had so much fun, especially watching the maternity portraits that that
The
Glenn
Beyonce?
and Dina. Yeah, I mean, do you love those kinds of episodes, or are they more complicated than we might think? What are they like?
Hanging from the ceiling is more complicated than you might think. Yeah. Always me hanging from the ceiling. That wasn't the first time. Crawling on the floor, hanging from
First
the
season
ceiling.
one, was that how the season ended? Wasn't that when you were in the helicopter hanging?
Technically, that was the beginning of season 2.
Oh, it was the beginning of
It was
season
between the 2 seasons, but yes, that was really fun. It's really fun to get to wear something else because Dina is really kind of the same, other than we were adding pregnancy bellies, so the pants and the shirts are getting bigger. But getting to do something that was so far out and so many like wild things. I also love Christmas, so that was very exciting to get to be like sexy Mrs. Claus. But I will say the Beyonce thing. I walked on set and I went, oh my god, I'm going to be on film in a bra and underwear. I didn't even think about this because you feel so closed with the fake belly. It feels like clothing. Like it feels you're very covered. And then I saw it and I was like, no, you're basically nude. And why not? Fun fact, the bra I wore as Beyonce is the same bra I wore when I had sex with Garrett in the bird losing episode. Fun fact.
Fascinating.
What kind of sandwich were you eating after you guys
It
had
was a
sex?
vegan sandwich
Vegan.
because she's vegan. So it was a cucumber, tomato, sprouts, and a little veganese.
Okay.
One day we have to put on a reel because I asked Lauren to do a take where she just ate the sandwich and no dialogue. And it was
McKinney,
hilarious.
Mark directed that episode, and yeah, we did a full take where if you've seen the episode, her and Garrett have just had sex. Garrett is, of course, just like shell-shocked, like, what have I done? I've lost all her birds. Then I kind of tried to pay her to have sex with her in this weird and then it's just a full, like, 2-minute long take of me just eating a sandwich.
Next to a shell-shocked man.
But you held on in the final cut. You held on that for a minute. Like that was pretty
And then
great.
one of my I think it was your improvised line. It was like, I think after this, I'm going to be ready for round.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, man. All right, before we get to audience questions, I came up with some rapid fire questions. You can tell me if these are totally stupid or not, but I'm like, I've always wanted to ask.
Trivia? Is this
It's not trivia. No, it's just things I've always wanted to know about actors that, and you can tell me if these are terrible and I should never ask them again.
No.
Okay, have you ever overslept for a call time?
Oh
And
my
what
God.
did you do about it?
I feel like this happens to me once a season, but yeah, it was like when Ruben Fleischer, like one of our executive producers, was
Like a
directing.
huge deal
He's like a
director.
very big director, and then yeah, I slept through my alarm. Little did I know there were like already like PAs on the way to my house. I'm pretty sure like people thought I was dead or something. Like they were really concerned. And then I woke up at like 10 a.m. and I was like, oh, I was supposed to be at work like 4 hours ago. Yeah. So that happened. He was really nice about it. I auditioned for one of his movies since, didn't get the role.
Did you get to the audition on time?
It was a tape.
Oh, okay.
So I got it in on time, but yeah, that was humiliating. Yeah.
I feel like, America, you've probably never overslept.
No, I did one time when I was on Ugly Betty. I was so tired and I had no excuse other than I just slept through my alarm, and it literally woke up like 2 hours after I was supposed to be on set. Like there's nothing, but also it was like, what was happening in my body that it was like, no, I will not wake up to this alarm. It's like I needed the sleep. But when you know there are like 200 people on set waiting, it's the worst feeling in the world. So yes, I have one time.
All human. Okay, what
Except
is-
me, I've actually never been late.
I'm sure you haven't.
You're always early.
Ben,
Roll your eyes, America. You know it's true.
no, I was about to say you're always like 45 minutes before my call time,
Yep.
which is always before your call time.
Your call time is before me, and I get there at least a half hour before you get there.
Yes, and I get there 15 minutes after my call time every day.
Yep.
What's the nicest thing a co-star has ever done for you?
Mark McKinney has been, after I wrote an episode on season 3, Mark told me that he felt like I should direct. And so for my birthday, he got me the Ron Howard masterclass. And I cried and cried, Mark. It was the sweetest, most thoughtful gift. And then I've been using it, and I directed my first short film.
Go.
The sweetest.
What'd you do for Mark? What'd you get him? Anything?
Next question.
Improv. That's all I want.
Anyone else want to answer that, or should I move on to another one?
Ben gets me candy every now and then because he knows the candy that I like, so that's nice of him.
What's the candy that you like?
I like sour gummies, but either worms or bears. Don't get me that watermelon shit. I
Don't
want
fuck with
it.
that. She does not
I
fuck
do
with
not
those.
fuck with thick gummies. I
No,
want like
she
gummy
likes a
bears or
thin
gummy
gummy.
worms. It's about the consistency to the sweetness to the sourness. Anyway, Ben
Whoever
gets
edits
it.
the Wikipedias in this room, take note.
Oh, I got one. I never learned how to dress, and it doesn't help when you're an actor because you always have people dressing you. And I went to a school where you had to wear a uniform, so I never learned how to dress. And when I opened my closet, I'm like, and I had to do something and I was in New York, and I'm walking in Soho, and there's all those stores, and I can't make up my mind. And for some reason, I thought Nichole, because he used to work in fashion, and I called him up, and he's in LA, and he's going, "Where are you? Okay, turn right, go up there. No, yeah, Uniqlo. No, the second floor. Okay, do you see the jackets? It's this jacket.
Mark has them in multiple countries.
I have 3 of them, and he also directed me. He told me where to go and get a shirt. And I went and got the shirt, and that's basically, if I'm ever in any press, you will see this jacket and those shirts, and that's it.
Also, Lauren throws a massive party for all of us every single year, which I think is the one thing that one person does for everybody. There's no one else who does like something for literally everyone, and Lauren does that every year. It's a massive karaoke party.
At Christmas.
It's the most Lauren thing ever.
And the hard part is she has to stay sober throughout the party.
Sometimes I don't, Mark.
Right?
I don't remember that part.
When you auditioned for this role, what were the chances that you think you got it or you didn't? What was your thought?
I was in Toronto, and I did it on tape, and I read it, and literally halfway through the audition, I started, it was great. The script was so obviously great, and then I started doing the Glenn voice, and I had no idea, but it just felt funny to me. And then I sent it out on a DVD, and I didn't hear for 3.5 months. Yeah. We just knew that it had gone on and blah, 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 blah. And I'd like to call the agent. And I thought I was dead. And then they said, no, you got it. You're going to LA next week to do the reading. And yeah, it was very, it just went out there. And I thought, didn't they say anything? I thought it was funny.
I remember my final audition for this role, like my third audition. You're like in front of like the executives and the writers and whatever. It's like you're, this
Ruben Fleischer.
And Ruben Fleischer. Yeah. And like it was like me and one other girl. And like the other girl went in, and I heard everyone applaud for her afterwards. And then they were like, "Okay, Nichole, it's your turn." And I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna get this. Like this girl actually is 16 years old. I'm like 25. But then I got it, obviously, but like I just didn't let that moment mess with my head, I guess, is what I took away from the whole experience, because it was really intimidating. Like, that never happens where people applaud for you after an audition, or at least I've never had it happen.
Oh, it happens to me.
Oh, okay. Well,
Your audition, that was the case, kind of, right? Didn't you give like an amazing audition?
Well, from the talk about confidence, I'm realizing Dina started seeping into me at the beginning, because when I read the script, I was like, oh, I'm going to play this part. Nobody else can play this part. And I just took that level of confidence throughout the audition process, which required 4 auditions for me. And every time I was just like, it's just going to be me. I just know it's going to be me. I do not feel at all intimidated in any way. And I was the girl that went in first, and then everyone was like, yeah! And then they called in the other actress. She must hate me. But she's also very, very funny and talented. But from the beginning, I was just like, I think this is it. I'm just not gonna rock my confidence at any moment. I'm just gonna believe it.
I've never had a moment like that in my life. I think you got the confidence thing covered.
Yeah. All right, do we have time for a couple audience questions? Anybody? I don't see them saying yes or no, so yeah, sure, maybe 2. Okay, sounds good. All right, this is from Mary Pascoe. I hope I said that right, Mary Pascoe. For Mark. Mark, now that Glenn has more free time, might we get to see him explore his theatrical side more in some beautiful chicken lady-esque ways?
Oh, that'd be so great.
That would be fantastic. Wait, do they do Mardi Gras in St. Louis? Do they do anything like that? Yeah, I think that would be an excellent opportunity for him to just like let his freak flag fly a little bit. Because he does have more time. He can get the whole reason. For those of you who don't know, Glenn, when he's making a tape for his daughter, because he thinks, well, I'm working 16 hours a day at this insane schedule, I can't do it, and so he decides not to be manager anymore, which is one of my favorite beats of the year, like stepping down to be a dad. So yeah, maybe that'll be something there. Yeah.
The titles of those books you were reading to her were my favorite. Do you want to? Do you remember them?
What were the? One of them was I remember the one about smoking with Dad.
One was like, was it Dick and Jane or no? It was something like Dick wants to be an astronaut.
Yeah, Dick wants to be an astronaut. Jane wants to be an astronaut's wife. Dick's going to fly into space. Jane's going to keep the house the way Daddy likes it. I haven't read this one in a while.
The one about deepest Africa or something.
Oh, yeah, you get to know the Orientals. It was just like just a list of like 1950s kids book with terrible racist and sexist titles, including one that was very pro-smoking. Yeah.
Okay, this one is from Mark, and it's for anybody. I've been an extra on your show 3 times, and me and my fellow actors agree you have an on-set chemistry that appears seamless. Is that something that developed over time, or was it there from day one?
Is he here? Whoever asked that question? Oh, hi. Thanks for being on our show.
We also have the guy who handed you the Post-it note. Remember in my episodes?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's not how that
Is everyone
works.
getting paid
Lovers.
to be?
Has everyone here been on the show?
Everyone is this?
I think our chemistry started really, really early. It was like
Day one, the first read through.
First read, yeah. It was it was amazing. It was amazing also that because we got along so well from the beginning, and people were like, "Talk to us in season 4."
I was one of those people.
Yeah. And I like it. And again, the only reason we're getting along is to prove you wrong. I think that's the whole thing.
The whole time I'm like, it's just a pilot. Calm down. Down by your apartment.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
Some of us have gotten the privilege of getting to direct episodes. Mark, Ben, and myself.
You have one coming up.
I have one, an episode that I directed, the second to last this season, and I mean, it's so much fun to be a part of this cast, but to get behind the camera and to watch, I mean, like I said, like when I'm acting, all I do is stare at them and laugh when they're funny too, but to get to direct them and sit behind the monitor and watch just this insanely talented cast do what they're so good at, it's such a privilege. And it does appear seamless until you realize, like, oh no, these are incredibly skilled craftspeople who make it seem like a breeze, like we're just talking and this is just how it is. But when you get to direct and you give a note and you see the way they take it and you see how they make it better and more than you thought, it truly is, yes, it is seamless, the chemistry, but the skill and the talent is phenomenal across the board.
Cosign.
I don't want this to end. I could just keep talking to you, but I think they would.
Let's
probably
do it
Why does it
outside.
have to? Why do we have to?
Is
Why do we have to
protest
obey
still
the
happening?
man's rules?
No, you know what I think? I think that
Lock the doors.
This is why
We're
he
going
doesn't-
live.
This is why he doesn't drink lattes.
No,
they make
I
him
think-
punchy.
I think the St. Louis Blues should fly us all out to one of their playoff hockey games.
I
That's what
think where's the camera? I think the St. Louis Blues should fly us all out to see
You
a
think the
playoff
St. Louis
game.
Blues are all watching this right now?
I bet they are because I'm
On like a
Canadian
big,
and I know
big
their original
screen.
6 team and I'd root for them.
And we've never won a Stanley Cup, so
Well, when Toronto gets out, then I'll start rooting for St. Louis. But
Thank you. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming out. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.